Welcome to Weird PVD, the podcast. Every week, your host, Sherry Kasperzak, takes you to the odd corners of beautiful Providence, Rhode Island. From big blue bugs to unique art, from weird history to weird food, you'll never look at Rhode Island's creative capital the same again. Tune in every Weird Wednesday. What is up, weirdos? So, if you're like me and struggling with the seasonal morbs already in December, today's episode might just be for you because you probably want to look at the darker side of the holiday season. This episode of Weird PVD, the podcast, is all about Krampus. And if you're not familiar with Krampus and Krampusnacht, in the Alpine European countries, Krampus is a folklore character who traveled alongside St. Nicholas on St. Nicholas's Day. St. Nick, Santa Claus, jolly old elf. Except Krampus is this demonic creature who tortures kids. In some legends, he is just the guy who grabs up naughty children who made the naughty list and did bad things, and he kind of beats them with birch sticks and punishes them and sends them on their way, and hopefully they'll be good next year. In other legends, Krampus can be pretty nasty. Like, he can grab children and kidnap them and even unalive them for being naughty. So it's a pretty interesting folk tradition, and one that didn't really make its way to North America until the 21st century. There were some German people who moved to the United States, the Midwest, I think, and brought their wacky tradition here. And we're so grateful that they did, because it's so cool. And I personally love darker stories during the cold weather, even past Halloween, because I am the kind of person for whom every day is Halloween. So if you're like me and you like more morbid stuff, Krampusnacht might be for you. In fact, I learned in my research for today's podcast that there is a Krampus Society of New England. Have you ever heard of this? Well, now you have. And I was really honored that Richard Sheridan of the Krampus Society of New England had a conversation with me. We had a great interview about the traditions of Krampus and Krampusnacht, and how some of the Alpine European folklore really brings these sort of darker side to the holiday season, and kind of provides a rich background of pagan lore. So super interesting history, something that really paints a picture of winter itself and how dangerous winter was for a lot of people thousands of years ago, that sometimes winter was a death sentence for you and your family if you weren't prepared. So a lot of great lore and traditions from Krampusnacht. I had a blast at the Krampusnacht Ball 2025 that Richard and the Society held in Providence last weekend, December 6th. So if you want to take a look at it for next year, I highly recommend it. Definitely check out some Krampusnacht events in your area. It might be really fun to do. So without further ado, I want to introduce this great interview that I had with Richard Sheridan of the Krampus Society of New England. All right, we have a special treat today on Weird PVD, the podcast. We are with Richard Sheridan. He is with the Krampus Society of New England. Richard, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, so tell me a little bit about the Krampus Society of New England. Where did the idea come from? How long have you guys been around? Just give us a little bit of background.
Well, we started in 2013, and for a lot of my life, every October, I'd act in the haunted attractions and build monsters and stuff. And right around 2010, Krampus really started taking off in this country. I saw there was a group in Texas doing like a pub crawl where they were all dressed like Krampus, and caused a little controversy because Texas is very what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of Christian fundamentalists don't appreciate this at all. But I thought, it seemed like a way to get rid of the post-Halloween depression. And the more I looked into the history, the more fascinating I found it. And we did our first Krampus walk with about less than 10 people. And it just, every year it got a little bit bigger. And around 2016, we had close to 500 people show up for a pub crawl, which was insane. It was too much. And
Yeah.
it was, yeah, it was a problem. There were just too many people and not enough pubs. And then I moved it indoors, which really hurt our numbers, but um, but it's a lot safer, and we can do a lot more. It's just not people going bar to bar drinking. Now it's we have different like we have a costume contest now, and vendors, and burlesque dancers, and we collect for toys for tots and the various animal shelters in the area. And um, we have sort of a bidding system. People can bid on a particular burlesque dancer to uh, give them a spanking as Krampus would, and that money will go to, this year it's going to the Vaccine Animal Shelter in Fall River. And so, we're doing a lot of good, I think, and it's definitely a change of pace from, Christmas. And um, we we had an event at the library in Fall River last night that went really well. Uh,
Great.
50 people showed up, and it was nice. We kind of told them what it was all about. And a lot of people don't realize it's just folklore. It's
Yeah.
folklore, no different than Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny. Um, it's not, um, so many people accuse us of devil worship and just nonsense. Fact is, Krampus predates the devil by about 2,000 years. And um, but as I said, tomorrow we're having our ball in Providence, and there'll be a lot of things to do. There'll be a food truck. Hoping we'll have a good turnout. I'm really confident we will. And it's it becomes very consuming. You start thinking about it in like August, and now
Yeah.
for like next year, I want to make it a little bit bigger, and want to get us in a few parades. So um, I'm thinking probably the day after tomorrow. I got to start planning for the following event, but um, it's all right. It keeps me busy. And
No rest for the wicked, huh? No pun
yeah,
intended.
yeah, exactly. And we just don't celebrate Krampus. We do the Yule Cat, the Yule Witch, and Gorilla of the Woods, and Belschnickel, and all these European folklore characters that they all have a lot in common. The common denominator there is um, it instilled fear in people, usually children. And the point for this was when winters, that's what all these monsters represent is winter in a world without heat, without electricity, without 911, without anything. If you had a bad harvest, you're gonna have a bad winter. You're gonna be hungry. You might starve to death. If you don't have enough firewood chopped, you might freeze. The fear of some of these monsters, it kept children doing their chores. Like the chains on Krampus, they kind of represented restraint. Um, Restraint, I think the best way to describe it is anyone who grew up with a sibling. Sometimes these siblings will have battle royales, and if one sibling accidentally breaks an ankle, and 1,000 years ago, that's a big problem, and
Right.
they might have to amputate that foot. And would likely turn gangrenous, and that could cause the death of that child, which not only is that awful, but now the family has one less person. It's going to affect the rest of the family as well as the winter months go on. And the chains sort of represent restraint, controlling yourself. Um, when the church started spreading Christianity through Europe, they tried to get a handle on this stuff, but it was very difficult to do. What the what the church learned, what they learned really when the lesson first kind of popped up in England when the Catholics and Protestants were killing each other, two groups of people praying to the same God, but for whatever reason they had to kill each other about it. And what they discovered is that it's easier to convert people if you're nice and try to adapt some of their customs into your customs. And that's where we get a lot of our Christmas traditions today. Like, if you were to read the Bible cover to cover, a lot of people don't. And the people who preach it the most seem to read it the least, I've noticed. But bringing a fir tree into your house, if you read the Bible, it's punishable by death. Christmas used to be illegal in this country till about the Civil War. You would get locked up. And you should know, the First Amendment would clearly allow you to bring a Christmas tree, but no one seemed to care. But they just couldn't make these traditions go away. So what they did with Krampus is they sort of teamed him up with a saint they had, Saint Noel, and they were going for sort of a good cop, bad cop. Saint Noel, um, he didn't. It was a Turkish guy. It was a misconception. He brought toys to people, to children. He didn't. That was just blatant commercialism. What he brought was things poor people needed. It might be money, it might be food, it might be clothing. He helped the poor, not just children. He helped with necessity. But you had to behave to get this help. Um, if you didn't, his cohort, Krampus, would usually give the child a spanking with a piece of birch wood. Whereas before the church got involved, Krampus was a lot scarier. He would not just give you a spanking, he might put you in a basket and take you off into the woods and you're never seen again. He might, he was supposedly fond of holding people's heads under icy water until they drowned, or, horrible, horrible ways of killing them. But it kept people scared and it kept people doing what needed to be done so they could survive the winter. It really took the church to get the whole um, Santa's evil, not even evil, just Santa's partner, right? Again, it's the good cop, bad cop thinking. Um, Everybody calls Krampus evil. No, it's a mythological figure.
It's all about balance. It's like you do good, rewarded. You
Right.
do bad, punished. Yeah.
Yeah. And and it went like that. Like, it's still huge in Europe. They never made it go away. And you see, like, worldwide figures like this, scary figures that would come usually during the winter solstice when it's the longest, scariest night of the year. And even in North America, Native Americans had a version. They called it the Wendigo, right? That Native Americans in mind. And if you travel to Asia or the Middle East, you're going to find very similar things that would happen in the winter time. And the church got hold of it. They changed it up a little bit, and but they just couldn't suppress it in Europe. But when Puritans came to North America, well, they banned Christmas, number one, and Krampus. No one knew what that was, and but it really wasn't until a group of German immigrants in the mid 2000s. moved to the Midwest of the country, and it was a large percentage of German people living there, and they said, "Hey, let's do like we used to do back home." And they all got dressed up in their Krampus suits, ran around the streets, and a lot of people loved it. Some people were absolutely mortified, but it grew like wildfire. And
Yeah, why do you think that like Americans kind of latched onto it? I don't think I even knew about Krampus until maybe like 10 or 15 years ago
yeah,
myself.
right.
Why does that appeal to, when I think at least from a lot of other countries, Americans are a little more like, I don't know, reserved and they don't like to,
Right.
do things like that.
Um,
So what do you think is the appeal?
I think religion is slowly fading away. There's more Americans than ever, yet there's less religious Americans than ever. So that helps, um, as a lot of religious people are just their thinking is this is just evil. They can't even begin to contemplate it. But that, and I think maybe just the commercialism of Christmas is so obnoxious now. I mean, you go into like a craft store in July and you see Christmas. Before Halloween even gets here, Halloween stuff is off the shelves and it's Christmas time in Target or Walmart or, wherever. I really think that, and I think it just burns people out. It really does. I mean, how many times can you hear Mariah Carey and before you need some serious therapy?
I'm already at that point, Richard. I can't take
Yeah,
it anymore.
yeah, and it's a great alternative. It's fun, and if you're a Halloween person, we have so many Halloween people. It's a natural for them. They love it. And it's just not so commercialized, and it's not about just obligatory gift giving. It's just really about having fun with people when whether it's a pub crawl or a parade or like a ball that we do. It's just not, here's a Cabbage Patch doll and a Nintendo. And it's got some meaning to it. It's fun, food, beverage, dancing, and I think it's much more primal than Christmas. And I really think it appeals to. I think there's a great appeal to it, and also it's a good way to start the winter. I mean, I can't even begin to contemplate the horrors of winter 2,000 years ago. Just now, winter, it's just uncomfortable, right? It's expensive. You got to heat your house. You got to deal with snow and uh, cold and flu season. But I don't know. It's, you're kind of going into the winter a little more positive, I think. And it also it brings people some education. You learn about all these traditions we had. They're all pagan in origin, like Christmas trees, mistletoe, a Christmas wreath, um, the Yule log. Uh, None of these have anything to do with any of the big three organized religions at all. They were all just kind of captured and used by um, uh, religious people. I mean, these people, they don't even realize they're participating in pagan rituals of, if they did, they probably wouldn't believe it anyways. But but there's an education there as well, and I think that's a very important aspect. Is you know uh, 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 if you're celebrating something, understand why you're celebrating it, right? Just don't do it blindly because someone told you. Understand what it is, what it represents, and the history of it is oh so important. The history of Krampus wasn't about scaring people; it was about survival. It was about the horrors of winter, not the horrors of a goat man with big horns and a whip. It was about going out to get firewood in a blizzard and getting lost, or catching smallpox and just dying, or tuberculosis, or breaking a limb, or something as simple as strep throat was a death sentence. It's hard for us to really understand that, but it really that's what it represents. All these horrors that the winter could bring, and how to try to avoid them, and by playing it safe. Work hard during the harvest so you don't starve, and your family doesn't starve. Um, it's I think it I see a lot more family in involved in something like this than just Christmas, again, with obligatory gift giving. And I think Black Friday isn't what it once was. I mean, you want to talk about a miserable day? People will kill each other to save $50 on a TV. It's insanity. But I mean, you can only tolerate that for, you know, for so long, and it's awful. And I think people find this just so much more enjoyable, and yeah, and again, it lets them get in touch with their primal side. It is some education to it, and getting dressed up in costumes is fun. And like I said, there's food, drink, dancing, costume contests. Um, um, it's so much better than just a Christmas party, and which, yeah, we'll see you there tomorrow night. I'm sure you'll see
Yeah, for
exactly what I
sure.
mean. Uh, but But yeah, we've been doing it since 2013, and the only year we took off was 2020. And we just, we keep growing, and I think the next few years are really, going to get big. We'd like to, in the future, maybe have a museum, a small one, maybe kind of dedicated to some of this stuff, and I think that would be wonderful. And
That would be really cool. Yeah.
yeah, it absolutely would. And But are there any other questions I can answer for you?
I mean, what is it about Krampus that inspires you? What is it about the folklore that really like captured your imagination?
Um, it was, I think the preparation for winter.
Hmm.
I was a medic on the fire department for years, and being prepared for, a disaster of some sort, whether that disaster is a sore throat or an amputated limb, just something we had to do, and always, when I was a little kid with my father in the 1970s, we were making like haunted houses and costumes and scarecrows, and Halloween was always such a big part of my life. And when I first discovered this, I was like, that is a cool looking monster. And people are dressing up as it, and it's not a Krampus costume. It's not something you go out and buy at Spirit Halloween. Typically it's something you make, or a really talented artist on Etsy might make. And I think there's a certain magic to that when you create it yourself, or an artist of some kind creates it, and it avoids that big business. And it just seemed like such a wonderful celebration. It sounded like a good way to stop the winter, and um, it just had so much more history that was interesting, and it wasn't um, it like Christmas is so, its traditions are so cherry picked, and um, where this doesn't try to hide what it is,
Right.
in the least. It's painfully honest. And I think that is important as well, is to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and just that commercialism of Christmas, I think, is just uh, terrible. And we're not trying to get rich off this at all. We try to make enough money to hold the event, really, to rent a spot, uh, pay performers to perform, and um, we we try to give what we can to the animal shelter and Toys for Tots, and I, Salvation Army. They're something else. I think what is it, like less than 10% of what they make they actually donate to the poor, and some of it goes to their payroll, but a lot of it's going in some CEO's pocket and
Right.
paying for a BMW. That just is absolutely horrifying to me. And um, you see these vans pull up and these people making minimum wage with a bell freezing, and you think they're there for the poor. They're not. They're not.
Yeah.
It's just a job, and it's a lousy one. And we don't do that. We would never do that. And the money we make is very little, and it goes right back into the show. And again, usually we spend more than we make, and um, especially this year has been very, very expensive this year with the venue we're at, and this is the first year we had burlesque dances and a food truck. We might have a beer truck from Narragansett Brewery show up, but um, if they don't, that's okay. It's a BYOB thing, anyways. So whoever wants to partake in the drink is more than welcome to. And there's even a refrigerator on the property, so you can keep your beverages chilled, which is delightful. But yeah, food, costumes, dancing. I mean, what's not to love there? It's
Not to love.
yeah, it's just so much better than any Christmas party. And um, the contests we have are silly, right? Um, did you hear about the candy cane contest?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
You have a candy cane licking contest. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. It's whoever can pop, make their candy cane into a weapon and pop a balloon with it first. Um, the name, the Great Candy Cane Suck Off, is absolutely hilarious. I mean, you can have a little bit of a dark sense of humor, but it makes people laugh. The contest itself is going to be ridiculous, but it's going to be absolutely hilarious to watch. We always do a costume contest, which I think is important to recognize the work people put into their costumes. Um, I was actually inspired by King Richard's Fair. Have you ever been?
I haven't been, no.
So they recently moved locations, which was terrible. But they had to have some pretty salacious contests there a lot. Um, Now you can remember our event is 21 plus because of this alcohol present, but we're actually having a cleavage contest. The first cleavage contest ever. It's not about the size of the cleavage; it's about the presentation. And I will not be a judge, nor will any males be judging. It will be female judges. Um, that'll be a first, but again, inspired by King Richard's Fair. I was thinking if they can get away with it, I think I can too. And if I get condemned for it, yeah, it's okay. I've been accused of much, much worse. And um, but that should be fun. Um, a very good friend of mine will be Santa Claus. He will be there. His name is actually Bubba Claus. Now,
Bubble
Bubba
claws.
Claus,
Okay.
right? He'll be there hearing people's Halloween, Christmas wishes. But Bubba Claus, um, he did some time,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And he drinks a lot, and he may do some illegal drugs. We're not sure. And you know, he worked at the mall, but the mall fired him, and
Yeah.
because of the ankle bracelet. You know, some kids saw the ankle bracelet, and so that was a problem. But um, now he hasn't changed. He doesn't really take good care of his Santa Claus suit, so it's in bad shape. And we're pretty sure he might have tuberculosis and a host of other communicable diseases, a lot of open sores on his face. And he's not the prettiest Santa to look at. But, I mean, I mean, last I knew, there was some cigarette butts stuck in his beard, which
You know,
was,
it happens.
you know, and he didn't seem to notice, and I didn't want to embarrass him. So, but Bubba Claus will be there. And for those that still are holding on to Christmas, you know, if they want like an Atari 2600 or an Etch a Sketch or, you know, something like that. I mean, maybe Bubba Claus could hook you up with that. And,
Maybe.
and but you'll know him when you see him.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah. The yellow stains on his shirt, just mustard. Um,
Oh, well, that's a relief. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
one never knows.
Likes to eat the glizzies, and the food truck will have hamburgers, hot dogs, and whatnot. Yeah, Bubba Claus is a lot of fun. He'll be doing pictures, and he can take pictures, of course, with Krampus, and we'll have Gorilla of the Woods. Oh, I think we'll have a Yule Cat tomorrow. We used to have a therapy goat that came for a few of our events. Mobley was her name, and she was wonderful. She was like a big goat, and but she couldn't walk, so she was always pulled around in a red wagon. And
Aw.
they came all the way from Maine, and but normally during the year, Mobley would go to you know, grade schools, nursing homes, and you know, if you were big enough, you could hold this goat in your lap, and it just wanted to cuddle with you, and which was amazing. That's something. Mobley sadly passed away a few years ago, but that's something I'd love to find again, is to have another animal present just for the cuddles. You know, uh, what makes people happier than animals? I don't think anything. You know, and
Totally.
cuddling with a goat is amazing. And she was the sweetest animal. But hopefully next year, I'm hoping we can find someone with a therapy goat, and tried this year. It's harder than you think it might be, trying to find a domesticated goat that will cuddle with human beings. But but it can be done. It's been done before. So yeah, there'll be, you know, all kinds of stuff going on tomorrow night, and really look forward to seeing everybody. But is there anything else I can tell you?
I think that's about it, but I am looking forward to Krampusnacht Ball tomorrow. Really excited to get lots of great footage. And yeah, thank you so much about
Oh,
sharing all of your
my
knowledge.
pleasure.
And yeah, it was such a treat, Richard. Thank you so much.
You'll know me when you see me. I'll be the only Krampus wearing a kilt.
A kilt, got it.
It's a
All right.
first. Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.